We're live, Susan.
The meeting will now come to order. Do a roll call. Mr. Probst.
Here.
Mrs. Burnett.
Here.
Mr. Cowley.
Here.
Mr. Glonick. Here. Mr. Hirsch. Here. Ms. Johnson. Here. And I am here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mrs. Keller.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
I think that was the point. Curveball right out the gate.
Right? Yeah. Keeping everybody on their toes.
Don't make the start. Just wait.
The agenda was posted throughout the district according to school board policy, published as a legal ad in the Superior Telegram, and posted on the district webpage. A meeting notice was sent to the connection for publication. Item 3, approval of the December 8th, 2025 agenda. For a motion and a second, if I could.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Oh, who's doing that?
Dave Brock scissors.
Yeah. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Item 4, the consent agenda. The November 10th, 2025 regular school board meeting minutes. I would trust that you guys took a peek at that. If you had any questions, we'd go from there. Item B, treasurer's report. Mr. Cowley.
All right, in the general fund account on November 30th, 2025, there was a balance of $3,133,643.18 in cash and investments. Receipts since the 1st of December are not included in the November 30 balance are $1,422,723.59, and the disbursements from tonight's December 8th board meeting total $94,852.87. In the flexible spending account on November 30th, 2025, there was a balance of $26,892.92 in cash and investments. In the health reimbursement account on November 30th, 2025, there was a balance of $3,075.56 in cash and investments. In the debt service fund on November 30th, 2025, there was a balance of $675.09 in cash and investments. Detailed report on fund activities included in the financial statements.
Thank you, sir. Item C, payment of invoices. Also, I would trust that you all took your opportunity to read that, and if you had questions, you directed them toward Mr. Fetchelcotter, unless anybody has anything they'd like to talk about tonight regarding that. All right. Excuse me. Item D, resignations, employment, and retirement. Mr. Fetchelcotter.
We have one resignation. Tammy Anderson was an NES kitchen aide. So she is our only resignation. We've actually filled the position already. This is just making it official through the board. No other new employments, internal transfers, or retirements to talk about.
Do we not have to talk about the hire of that said person?
We actually already did it. So it just became official.
Oh.
We brought this one. It was a personal matter that she needed. So.
All right. Item 5, approval items. Item A, intra-district transfer request. This will be you, Mr. Fetchelcotter, but I would trust that everybody had an opportunity to read the letter.
So I believe parents here.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Thank you very much. So we do have an inter-district transfer. Per our policy, the parent provides some written information as to their justification, and that is in the board packet. We've talked educationally as a team. Our recommendation would be to approve this transfer for 2 students from IRES to NES.
We're going to make this effective immediately or after the holiday break?
I don't know, Mr. Larrabee, if you want to speak to that.
Our hope would be just to delay it a little bit because the Iron River Christmas program is tomorrow.
He has a speaking part. He's really excited.
You got to choose one school or the
Right?
So obviously we need your approval to move forward. So then we identify classes, do tours, and then take the next steps to set up that transfer over. It does take us a little bit of time because we have to transfer information out of grade books, stuff like that.
The other thing too, I know always pops up in these is questions around transportation. I think parents are well aware that transportation falls within their purview, and not the district with this particular case. So
That works out well for you?
What does this mean?
transportation,
Transportation?
Okay, transportation meaning,
getting your students to school.
so I'm responsible for transportation. And they cannot ride the bus.
Well, we wouldn't bring them from Iron River to NES. We would potentially work with, as we've done in the past, of some kind of pickup point that's closest to an existing route
Oh, yes.
that we've done. So
Yes, correct.
But I've talked to Mr. Haynes.
we're aware of that. So transportation logistics are taken care of.
Any other discussion from the board? Any other questions?
The only other question I have is, so there's 2 children?
Yes.
What are the ages or grades that those children are in?
Grade 4, grade 2.
Grade 4 and grade 2.
Which I understand if they're siblings, it's nice to have them in the same buildings.
Anything else from the board? With that being the case, I would entertain a motion and a second for the inter-district transfer.
I make a motion to approve the intra-district transfer request.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much for your time to write the letter and getting it sent in and going through the process and working with Mr. Larrabee and everybody to help out. So I hope it is a good, positive thing.
You're welcome to stay if you wish. Otherwise, you can leave if you want. No judgment here.
Item B, a request from Mrs. Meldy, the Northwestern Middle School Student Council Advisor and Student Council representatives to plan to attend an experience day on Friday, February 20th, 2026. Well, you look very dapper, young man.
Thank you.
You have a choir concert this evening?
No.
Oh, you just look that good?
Yes.
All right.
turn it off.
All right.
Can't turn it off.
Good evening. My name is Mike Sullivan, and I am the NMS Student Council President.
Hello, I am Bailey Melby, the Student Council Secretary.
I am Malia Garrison, 8th grade representative.
Hi, I am Eva Thorson, Student Council Treasurer. This is Ramsey Robinson and Ayana Smith, our social media coordinators, taking some pictures with Student Council.
We have come to ask for the school board's approval for the Northwestern Middle School's Experience Day All-School Activity, which will take place on February 20th, 2026. This event has been taking place since the early 1990s. It is a Northwestern Middle School tradition.
Experience Day is a fun day where 6th, 7th, and 8th graders get the chance to try new and exciting things with their fellow classmates and teachers. This year we have 8 choices for kids to choose from. This year's choices include skiing and snowboarding at Spear Mountain, ice fishing in Iron River, Adventure Zone, bowling with roller skating.
Superior YMCA with roller skating, and Level Up Game Center with roller skating. Elite Sports Complex with Adventure Zone, and Adventure Zone with the Maritime Museum. We feel that students will enjoy these fun activities.
We will explain how these activities work. First, there is Spirit Mountain, which is an all-day event where you can snowboard or downhill ski. There is a concession stand that has food and drinks for sale. There is a day of swimming and gymnasium space at the YMCA in Superior. Students will then head to World of Wheels to roller skate. They will stop at a local fast food restaurant.
Students can also go ice fishing in Iron River all day. Students who choose this option will have the whole day to go ice fishing and eat snacks from the nearby snack store. Adventure Zone in Duluth has opened its doors for us again. Students will be active playing laser tag, hitting the batting cage, and playing mini golf for most of the day.
We also have added a day of bowling at Incline Station and roller skating at the World of Wheels. Another option is Level Up Game Center in Superior, where students can enjoy a morning of card games and then join other kids in roller skating. All of these activities are very fun, and we know students will enjoy themselves no matter which one they pick.
We added 2 new choices this year. A morning spent at Elite Sports Complex in Duluth playing pickleball, softball cages, playing games on indoor turf, and the afternoon and lunch at Adventure Zone.
Our final option is Adventure Zone in the morning, then walking to the Maritime Museum in Canal Park to learn about the shipping history of the Twin Ports.
This year's price will be $20 to $25 for students. If a student can't pay, no worries, as arrangements are made with the student council. We also received a donation from Northwestern Tigers Educational Foundation help with payments for students and families that are in financial hardships.
It is important that all students can attend and enjoy socializing with their friends and making new friends. We are kindly asking that the district help us again with the bus transportation. Costs will range from $2,500 to $3,500.
We, as Northwestern Middle School Student Council representatives, strongly believe that this year is a great opportunity to help our local businesses and show them the first-class behavior that our student body displays in and out of the classroom. We would appreciate the school board approval of this project. Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
What's the date of it?
It is on February 20th, 2026.
Do you have like a backup date? Because I know there's been times in the past when we've had weather issues that have affected it.
Of course.
Miss Meldy's talked to Mother Nature. It's going to be a beautiful day.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. It would most likely be the following Friday we would shoot for, but with all the logistics and
Right.
transportation, it's,
Might not be all 8 options.
yeah. And some of our options too, we have to have at least 15 kids to run them. There's a few that won't all, most likely, we put them out there, but we have to have enough kids for transportation to make it worth it to take a staff member from another area, so.
Well, let's hope for good weather.
I have a question regarding the busing logistics. I know we don't have enough overabundance of drivers. Is there any concerns with how we're going to manage that part of it?
I can tackle this one if you want, Miss Meldy.
That would be lovely. Go for it.
These are daytime events, so thankfully we have drivers that they are paid but are willing to schedule to take kids to places A, B, C, and D throughout the day, and then they of course are back before the end of the day. So our transportation logistics.
It'll be between the routes then, basically.
Yes.
So
Yep, between the routes, get kids in, and then for the most part, buses stay there. And you guys load pretty early on in the day, if I remember right.
Between 8:30 and 9, depending on when the business will open for us, because a lot of them open special for us early, so.
It's worked well, and Mr. Amos and the transportation team, I think, see the utility in this, and it's usually a pretty good trip for the drivers too. And so I don't anticipate issues there.
It appears as though Adventure Zone seems to be a starting or ending point for a lot of this to help break up the day.
Yeah, we used to only offer it as one full day activity. They go to Adventure Zone all day. But from feedback from some of the kids, it gets to be a long time depending on the amount of kids there. It's just a lot. So I had some 8th graders this year that asked if we could try this Elite Sports Complex. It's a new place in Garfield for the morning. And then we also had a staff member who said, morning at Adventure Zone, and then when they start getting bored, we could take a handful of them if they choose to just walk to the Maritime Museum and kind of go through that
Break
if it
the day
interests them. Yeah, break the day.
it's good. Yeah.
So, and they're Adventure Zone can host a lot of people too. Some of our other places that we go can't. I have caps on the amount of kids I can send places.
And the YMCA, is that new this year? Did you previously go down to Link?
We
Or
went
did
to Link years, probably a decade ago. It's been a while. YMCA we've worked with for the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
And they've been
Get
very
worse,
nice
buddy.
with their pricing. They just give us a flat price
To be able
for the
to-
morning, so.
Right. I mean, I know I had 3 kids already go through this and a 4th in there and a couple coming behind. So I've always, as a parent in the district, liked to be able to see that this was offered for the kids from that aspect. So were there any other questions for these young folks up
Very
front?
nice presentation.
Very nice presentation.
Appreciate it.
With that being the case, then I would entertain a motion in a second.
I'll make that motion to approve the Experience Day trip.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much, and I certainly hope you all have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Good job.
Have a good evening.
Thanks for coming.
Has Link's been around for 10 years?
Very close.
It has been. All right, item C, request for Mr. Nyhus for he and two students to attend the halftime leadership conference in Stevens Point, January 16, 17, 2026.
So hi, I'm Abigail Anderson, and I'm the vice president of FFA.
I'm the president. I'm Isaac Fuller.
So we're here to ask permission to go to Stevens Point, Wisconsin on January 16th through the 17th for a halftime leadership conference.
The conference is basically to help us garner a better competition season and help us get ideas and connect with other FFA groups to make our second half of the FFA year just better overall. Yeah. I don't know what else.
Need to tackle the
Yes,
logistics? Okay. So it's a Friday, Saturday conference down in Stevens Point. We leave here about 8 o'clock right at the start of the school day, taking likely the Camry, not one of the vans, because it's just the three of us, down to Stevens Point. There's usually some sort of community service project. In the past, it's been like a winter coat hat maintenance drive, so we usually stop somewhere along the way at a Target or Walmart, and I have the kids pick out some things to pick up for their drive down there. And then the conference will start in the afternoon, carries in through the evening, and then picks up then the following morning. And then we'll be back. Usually conference ends about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We're back here then that Saturday evening. So it's a one school day and then a Saturday.
Any questions?
What is halftime leadership? That's not like a halftime of a football game or?
It's like halftime of the FFA calendar year.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the school year, it's always in January, right around that semester change. There, at least that's my understanding of the name, but I guess I don't actually know the official reason why it's called halftime.
There'll be full-time learning.
Yeah.
Halftime conference.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Any others? Well, then I would entertain a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the request by Mr. Nyhus to go to Stevens Point.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Have yourselves a good time in Stevens Point.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Item D, Essentia virtual access. I'm going to hand this over to you, Mr. Fetchel-Cotter.
Yep, and the board enhancement there, so I'll let Mr. Larrabee get set up because he's been working on this with us, but we'll do a little video presentation. For the last 6-8 weeks, I believe, roughly, it's been a while. We've kind of worked behind the scenes, and I mean myself, Mr. Larrabee, and our district nurse, Kristen Clemmer, kind of meeting with the Essentia Health staff to look at a new possibility for our students and our parents. And we'll talk through this, but the important pieces are more of a telehealth program or opportunity for our students. We're going to look to start small, strictly at the high school level, strictly 2 days a week, but it'd be something that our nurse here would oversee. But the intent of it really, if you look at the whole process, is to try to give an opportunity for our parents to get virtual appointments. It's kind of been, becoming more and more of a popular way to get care. From a school district standpoint, it's nice to keep students in school when we can. We know that if we have to go to Duluth, typically it's going to be at least a half a day outside of school, if not more. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Larrabee here to kind of talk through the particulars of it, but we're excited potentially to bring this opportunity to Northwestern as a way to keep students in school and hopefully help parents with some of the logistics and keep them working and do those pieces there too. So
Absolutely. So as Mr. Fetchel-Cotter said, there's some good that came out of the pandemic, and when we kind of got locked down, all of a sudden we started to be able to do things in more of a telehealth manner. and some of those things have stuck. So I'm happy to be able to bring this forward. This is years worth of work from our folks at Ascension. So shout out to them because they launched this program, they developed it, launched it in another school district, and then we're excited to bring it to us. So I've been working with them, Kristen Clemmer, our district nurse, and Brittany Burhans, our nurse here at the high school, in order to start putting this in place. We developed a website. This is not published yet, so it's not out there for the public. But this is modeled off of what Essentia had built with another district. And it provides a way that parents can learn a little bit about it. This is something that would be launched on our website. But then it also gives our families access into where they would gather documents in order to learn about it, but also to schedule appointments within our nurse that would then allow them to access a designated place and technology at the school. So as Mr. Fletcher-Cutter had said, families would be able to keep their students here to be able to do a telehealth appointment in a confidential location within the building. So as a parent working in Duluth, you would not have to leave work, drive out here to pick a student up, commute back to the hospital, Superior Duluth, and then come back. So this keeps our kids in the classroom to the greatest extent possible. And our nursing staff are very excited to be able to do this because they can also find needs, work with families, and then find solutions for that while keeping kids here. So as I said, this isn't published, so I'm not able to share this with board members or community members yet, but I'm hopeful that after gaining approval, we can move quickly and get this out to our students and our families. There is a 2-minute video that was developed by Essentia Health that I would like to show. So I'm going to broaden this and then play. Hopefully our technology is going to work.
It worked beforehand, so it's going to work now.
You're going to want to jinx it. And a recast. So again, this is from our folks.
Welcome to our school-centric program, where your child's health and education are our top priorities. In partnership with Essentia Health, we're proud to introduce our new telehealth initiative, designed to bring quality healthcare right to your school's doorstep. Imagine healthcare visits that are convenient, comprehensive, and conducted in a familiar setting, right on school grounds. This collaboration streamlines access to healthcare professionals without having to miss valuable class time or endure long waits in clinics. Through this telehealth program, we connect students with licensed healthcare providers from Essentia Health via secure video conferencing. Whether it's a routine checkup, mental health support, or managing chronic conditions, our services cover a broad spectrum of needs. With parental consent, your child can receive medical assessments, consultations, and follow-up care, all without leaving the school. This initiative not only eases the logistics for parents and guardians, but also ensures that students maintain better health, allowing them to focus on learning and growth. Our program is backed by Essentia Health's extensive network of expert medical professionals, ensuring your child gets the highest level of care. With telehealth, students can communicate comfortably and securely with doctors and nurses who are equipped with the latest tools and technology. Each telehealth visit is conducted with privacy and confidentiality, adhering to all HIPAA regulations to protect your child's personal health information. Participating in a telehealth visit is simple. Our school staff is trained to assist students with the setup, ensuring smooth and effective communication with healthcare providers. For families, it means fewer missed work hours and less travel, while still being closely involved in their child's health decisions. We're excited to bring this program to your school and empower students to take charge of their health and wellness. Thank you for partnering with us and Essentia Health in this initiative, which prioritizes the well-being and academic success of your child. Together, we are nurturing a healthier, happier learning environment where health and education go hand in hand. Welcome to a new era of school-based healthcare, where telehealth makes quality care accessible and convenient for everyone involved.
As I shift back on screens, as shared, our hope is to start small and begin with the high school level. And then if we are able to, and it is functional and working well, then we can expand to younger grades. And obviously Mrs. Craig and I would work together on that with Mrs. Clemmer as well. As also shared, the initiative is to get more access for our students and our families while keeping kids in school. The way this could work, and we kind of piloted it last week, as you can see, there's a calendar tab at the top. As a family member, I can field a phone call from the school, or have a child that maybe went to school and now they're not feeling well, and I'm talking to my child. I can go through Essentia's app. I can look at, okay, well, can I schedule an appointment? And if I'm looking at that on my phone, I can also go on the calendar here, and I can see, well, the room that is designated for this, the technology that's designated, is open at 10 a.m., and I can schedule that appointment. So as a family, you can click on calendar, it'll pop up all the available times. You click on that time, and then the student is able to reserve that. It's confidential. The only person that can see that is Mrs. Burhans and Mrs. Clemmer. They're the only ones that are knowledgeable of who the student is. And then they also are able to get a reminder ahead of time so they can assist if need be. And then on the other side of that, the family, whoever schedules it, I scheduled one that just as a pilot. I got a reminder day before of my appointment, and I also got a reminder a half hour before. So
Via text?
Via email. Good question. We tried to stay away from cellular, just from the standpoint of being inside the building. Sometimes that's hard. So we've tried to work through the email system. Good question. So that scheduling piece could be done with the family, or as I said, if Mrs. Burhans had a situation, she contacted the family. If it was possible, she'd be able to work through the provider and the parent to schedule that appointment as needed. So
I think that's an important point, just to reiterate, is that the parent is the one scheduling
Correct.
said meeting. We are not as a school district, nor do we want to.
Yep, that's not our lane. That would be a family decision.
Yep.
And Mrs. Burhans would work with families here at the high school, or Mrs. Clemmer as the district nurse, to see if that's an option that they would want to pursue.
And in turn, we're not financially responsible for any of the services that are provided, through an insurance program. Really, our role is to try to provide a venue, and then in this case, Ms. Burhans would be the one making sure student A can get to venue A to hit the appointment up. So
Do they need a note, or if they have an appointment scheduled, how is that communicated with the school?
So the way that it's set up right now, so when I scheduled a demo appointment, it also emailed the two of them. So they got a notification that Brad Larrabee had an appointment at 10 a.m. It was this morning. I missed it. But they get that notification as well. So the two of them would know that there is an appointment for anything that was pre-scheduled. If it happened to be a we need it now type, like a child comes down and says, oh, you might have pink eye. We're gonna work with Mrs. Burhans to set that appointment up and pair it so that then the family can have the child stay here.
Mrs. Burhans would be the one kind of writing the pass if it's second block.
Correct. Yep.
I got to get them out of class XYZ to come down to my office, and then in turn get them to where they need to go.
So this webpage here, would this be on our school
This would be-
website?
Correct. Yep. This would be linked under, I believe, family is what Mr. Hintzman had suggested.
And I think it's also important for the board to know that Mr. Larrabee and myself have had conversations. We'd be more than willing to open this up to other providers.
Correct.
So Essentia Health is kind of, we understand that there's more providers in here, but Essentia Health is really they approached us and said, we've started to get this off the ground. We think it's a neat opportunity for you as a district. One of the parents, or one of the people behind this, is a parent for a student here, has footprint within our district. And again, our main role is to provide the space and place. Parents are still in charge of setting up appointments. I can't reiterate that enough. Our role of the school district is just trying to help the student get to said place, in front of the computer screen to get in front of
So
them.
if I understand you correctly, when the parent sets up that appointment, they're also going to be setting up, whether it be insurance or their HSA card or something like that.
Yep, that's all through their medical provider. We're simply the host. We're giving the child access to a room that's secure and confidential, and also to dependable Wi-Fi and a laptop that's designated to be able to support it.
Can the parent also participate in like a three-way remote type thing?
Yes, that's outside the scope of my knowledge, but anyone that's familiar with my chart, I believe the way you set it up is the child would get an email giving them the appointment, and then the parent can be added in as well, whether it be by email or by cell phone. I would defer to.
Yeah, you just log in. with my chart, give proxy access, then you can join there.
So it could be a three-way type conversation.
Because that was, I mean, our biggest concern is making sure that we as a school are not facilitating appointments that parents don't know about.
Yeah.
That's, I'm sure, a concern at this table for everybody. And I can
The
confirm
role of
that.
Mrs. Burhans would be to get the child to the designated location, help them log in if need be, and then she would step out. The family and the physician, the student can have that meeting. It's confidential, and then log out and go back to class.
I just have one little typo
Yeah.
here. It says, or it just said Amanda Reed, Administrator at Essentia Health Northwestern. In the,
Yeah.
like, board.
Yep.
It should
Yep.
say Administrator Essentia Health Deer River.
I see what you're saying there.
Yeah.
Deer River, yeah, you guys, I don't think Deer River mind us saying it. We've talked to them.
Correct.
They're, you know, the first district in our area, at least that I'm aware of, that has done this.
Yep. And I can also add Superior is working hand in hand with us. We've been in the same meetings every Tuesday. So Superior Health Team is working, which happens to be Mrs. Larrabee, is working closely with Essentia to roll this out in their district as well.
I wonder if there's gonna be a point where either parents come to us or we want to think about if this goes well, what if there's a provider we're not working with who said, a parent comes, hey, my son has a telehealth appointment at 10 o'clock. Can you give him a room and a screen and
So that,
do
yeah,
this?
this would be driven off of said provider contacting us. What the best way to put it, we've done this a lot for mental health. We become what's called a branch office essentially.
Okay.
And there's some memorandum of understanding, some kind of agreements there that we would have to have from a procedural standpoint before we would do that.
Okay.
And that's not only I'm assuming that the provider on the other end would like that as well, because there are just some procedural things that we want to make sure we're good on. The reason why we're bringing this to the board, obviously this would be new. We want the board to approve this. That is our recommendation. We think this can be a good thing, but we are trying to start small and see where it goes, and then reevaluate as it gets off the ground to see if it is going to expand to different providers, different days of the week, and what that may or may not look like.
And Steve, I think you bring up a very important point to validate. We have had these working agreements with several mental health providers, whether it be through telehealth or whether it be through in person. We provide a safe place. They manage all of the paperwork on that side and all of the insurance information. We simply are providing a safe place, and as Cody alluded to, we have a memorandum of understanding and say, here's our role, here's your role. And it has worked. So I've been here 8 years. It's worked very well.
How fast can you get an appointment in something like this?
Well, I'll be honest, Mrs. Larrabee usually schedules all those appointments.
Well, I mean, the only reason I ask is, I mean, from a telehealth point of view, I know we've talked about it with the
Staff.
I mean, with the staff, and I know from when we were going through the health insurance debacle, probably the easiest way to call that. But, they mentioned telehealth and being able to use that. And is there any way that this? I mean, Deer River is currently doing this, and they're expanding into other stuff. And currently, this is a student-only type thing. But is there the ability to expand it? Is there even a need to expand it to staff?
Our hope and ambition is to include staff in this, simply because it's dependable Wi-Fi and it's a secure location. So if we had a staff member, I'll just say at high school because logistically it's probably easier, they could schedule in the same way. They could come down to Brittany, or they could go on the website and they could click schedule the time, as long as that time is able to be scheduled with Essentia. And then they'd be able to use that location for the same thing.
I do know
Or their own comments.
we can do it now. We've had staff members that have on their prep said, I sign up for a virtual. My experience is you can sign up for a virtual appointment pretty quick.
Yeah, I guess that's ultimately, I think, what I was trying to ask. Because I mean, if you can keep a student in the school as well as keeping an instructor or a staff member in the school, for as much as I think, hey, I'm going to go to the doctor, be gone all day Friday isn't a bad thing either. But I completely get it, having to not have to have that as the having that as an opportunity to be able to do that. And I know, like you said, if we're currently doing it, you may not have to,
So yeah, like the student technology, the Chromebooks that they have, it's pared down for a reason. this necessarily would not work on those platforms because we've had to pare it down. This would be a separate device that's overseen by the nursing staff. Different network to allow some of the ability, because our student networks are pretty locked down, or they're not, when they're with us, talking to the outside world too much. But this, to me, I think, to put it out there, it seems like a no-brainer. We want to try to get it off the ground. We're going to start small, but it's just an opportunity to, we believe, again, reiterating that this is through parents. Our role is just simply trying to facilitate an appointment which helps keep students in school, which is what we like. It opens up another opportunity for parents if they wish to, we're all busy, stay at their jobs and still try to get some of the medical stuff that they need. This isn't the end all be all of everything. They'll tell you if they can do a virtual appointment or not. And if they can say you got to be seen, then you got to be seen. We can't, change that.
What if a student had a more in-depth visit and the parent wanted to come here and sit with them and be with them?
Absolutely.
I think we'd facilitate that, no problem.
Yep, we could facilitate it. It's a private setting. So if the family wanted to be part of that, absolutely.
Where's that again?
So where Mrs. Kroll's office is, our guidance office, it's an office within that area. So easy accessibility, our nurse can access it, plus students can get in without any, concern about where they're going.
It's a nice service. How do you plan to roll this information out?
Great question. So obviously needing your blessing on it, and then we want to start small, sharing this video with families. We have a press release, if you will, that Essential Health has helped us to be able to form and kind of come together based off of Deer Rivers documentation. So we'll be able to get that out.
It'd be a Skylar type message to just, again, it's important to note our high school staff is where our high school students, is where we want to start.
Okay. And also informing our high school staff so they know that this is an addition within the building.
You had mentioned the family makes the appointment and somebody within the district gets a pass or something like that.
They get a notification to their email.
I thought you said there was a district employee that helped facilitate getting them.
Correct. So Mrs. Burhans is our nurse here at the high school.
So I guess a question that I have is if we start small and she has to deal with some form of administrative work for that.
Sure.
And this continues to grow, does that turn into too much for her to continue her current duties and add to that? And now does it have a financial burden to the district?
And that's the question that I don't have an answer to. What I will say is that we control this to say this is the capacity that we have, and this is the capacity that we can do.
And I can share, Mrs. Clemmer and Mrs. Burhans and I have sat through all the meetings together. We've had conversations about what's the best way logistically to make this work. And Brittany feels like this is well within what she can do here at the high school.
At 2 days a week.
Correct. Yeah, starting small. If it increases, like if a student comes down to the nurse now, she provides care, works with the family, but she documents it within her system. So we kind of have a running record of events that happen. If it grows too big, then I think that's a good thing because we're meeting the needs of our families and our community, and then we can reevaluate, well, what does that look like?
Yeah, and not that I'm a
capacity to
naysayer here,
shuffle
doesn't
kids
want it to
maybe.
happen. I just want to make sure that we're not taking somebody who's got a current full load and overwhelming them with something more.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Essentia virtual service, I guess.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Does anybody else have anything else they'd like to discuss before I? No, and I will, all those in favor, do say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Right on.
Thank you, buddy.
Item E, the NHS course description, proposed revisions. I'm going to hand this over to Mr. Cowley based on your 4:30 committee meeting today.
Okay, yeah, we met before this meeting and talked with Mrs. Kroll, Ms. Raddick about a new class that is being proposed. It's called Human Services Career Exploration. It's an entry-level class that can be taken by ninth grader on up. For anybody who's interested in career areas such as being a counselor, social worker, a life coach, personal trainer, things of that nature. It's mostly an introduction to what those career fields are and what it takes to get into it. So that it's a new course. It's a lot of the courses in Ms. Raddick's area involve foods, and so this kind of gives students that like that type of coursework a different course to look at. We also had two other changes or two other revisions to the book. One on science, where they're basically just going to remove the offering of environmental biology and earth science. It hasn't been offered in recent memory. I mean, it's been many, many years. We're probably pushing 8 to 10 years now since it's actually been offered as a course. So basically, just taking it out. And then the third thing that we discussed was in the tech ed area, just some language changes that Mr. Charlier wanted to make to, I guess, update a description of Tiger manufacturing, but it really wasn't anything new, just an update. So is there anything I missed, committee members?
Nope, perfect summary.
And it is the recommendation of the
Committee.
Yeah.
the curriculum committee to
Approve, yes.
all these items.
Recommend we approve these changes.
Any other discussion from anybody that wasn't privy to the meetings earlier today? I do know the Tiger Man one. There was what did they get hooked up with Northwood Tech? There's a particular certification that I think this is the first year we're able to participate in that for students, and I think verbiage on some of that change was to coincide with that particular curriculum.
Yeah, the like I said, Mr. Charlier's class, it's really just to clean up the verbiage to more accurately reflect the class and what it is about. So, which is what we do with a bunch of different classes. Sometimes it's nice to refresh things, and so there's no real difference in class itself. It's just making sure students know exactly what the expectations are for them in said classes. Parents can read that too. Hopefully they do, so they know what we're signing up for and what the students' role and responsibilities are going into those classes, because they are going to be working with equipment. Safety is paramount with that. There's an expectation there that there isn't a lot of that messing around when we're coming to power tools. So go figure.
With that being the case, I would entertain a motion in a second for somebody outside of the committee.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation of the committee.
Second.
A motion in a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Item F, the 26-7 teacher calendar. Mr. Petchel.
You guys should have a copy of the updated calendar. So similar to the process last year, we met administratively, looked at a few different calendar options. We narrowed it down to 2. And then thank you, Ms. Stotty, put it out to all of our staff on a Google survey to get their input. And we had a pretty good response rate, but the calendar that's in front of you has the majority of our staff vote. The biggest difference was when Christmas break was going to fall between calendar A and calendar B. So calendar B won out with about 55-60% of the vote, if I remember correctly. And that calendar has us coming a few days on the week of December 21st, 21st and 22nd, which we believe still gave people time to travel for the holiday season if they wished, and then puts the end of the school year at June 3rd and the staff's last day at June 4th. So the recommendation would be to approve this so we can get this on our books and out to our staff as we begin to already look at 2026, 27.
I guess I have a question in looking at this. So and maybe Ms. Stotty can answer this for me. On the calendar, if it's got a cross through it, there's no school that particular day. Am I correct in that?
A dash or a cross?
Diagonal.
That's the end of the semester.
That's the
Or
end.
End of the quarter.
Or part
So
of
it's
the
just highlighting that that's the end of the quarter.
Yes.
Correct. So it's still a student contact day.
so like October 30th is end of the quarter, and then it shows November the 2nd is not crossed off, but it shows staff development day in blue. Is that a staff is here, but there's no students? Am I correct in understanding that? Okay. All right. Just
So the color coding is the blue highlighted tiles are staff development days. That helps you.
And there's a little legend on it.
up top. Yeah. Colors are not my strong suit.
August is interesting with the 25-26 staff development and then big summer school open house and then staff development.
So we looked at this heavily. So our new staff would be a new teaching staff would come in on the 20th and 21st, which we like because it gives them some time to decompress. They don't have to come in the 24th, but knowing our new staff, they might come in and just try to figure out what end is up and what end is down, which does happen with new teachers. And then 25, 26 would be our typical kind of welcome back activities for our new staff, trainings, that type of stuff. 27th, 28th of August would be our typical open house. And what we like, because by rule, we cannot start school before the 1st without partitioning DPI. That August 31st day would be an in-classroom work day for our teachers to get ready for kids walking through the door that Tuesday. So it's a good mix of trying to give teachers time to get prepped for kids coming through the door, but also for us as administrators to get all the stuff that we have to get done at the beginning of the year, plus throw professional development in there as well too. So I think it does a nice job of kind of breaking it off into small little chunks, bite-sized pieces.
This might be a little bit of a side note, but what do you know about Ashland proposing a 4-day school week?
I know very little. So
Does anybody know anything about that?
I know it's.
They put a survey out to their town.
Is that all it has been at this point? Is a survey?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think it came from staff pushing.
I know they have put together a committee to look at it. I don't know. This might be one of those steps, but I will find out more. As
Well,
that
you don't have to find
conversation-
out too much. I'm just kind of curious as to how that works for minutes and.
The short answer is I don't have a question. I don't have an answer for that one either. The minutes are still the minutes as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. Okay.
So we could do a 2-month school year if we really wanted to, because DPI just cares about the minutes. 24/7 if we want.
Ooh.
There you go.
All right. Well, with that being the case, if there's any other discussion, let's go take care of it. Otherwise, I'll take a motion in a second to approve the 26/7 teacher calendar.
I make a motion to approve the 26-27 teacher calendar.
Second. Motion in a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 6, report on the Wisconsin State report cards for the district and schools for 24-5. Mr. Larrabee.
Welcome back. So last month I was able to talk a little bit about how our students did on state tests like the ACT, the Wisconsin Forward. So shortly after, I believe it was actually the next day, is when they made public the state report cards. So my discussion tonight is just an overview of how the district and each individual building fell in terms of the state report card. And I just want to give a little overview of each of them. And then I did do some analysis, if you will. I believe it was last month. I did a little bit of reference to, they make a mega spreadsheet. It's an Excel spreadsheet where then you can compare all kinds of districts that are, you can compare by size, you can compare by CISA, you can compare by socioeconomic status. You can do all kinds of fun stuff with data and numbers. So I spent the better part of a day locked in my office at Iron River and put together kind of a breakdown of how we compare with other school districts around us in the heart of the North Conference. So without further ado, you may remember the state assessments for Wisconsin public schools are the forward exam in grades 3 through 8 and then again in grade 10. The DLM is an alternate learning assessment for students that have significant needs and will not be able to participate in the forward exam or the ACT. And then the pre-ACT secure is in grades 9 and 10, and then the ACT with writing is in grade 11. So those are the assessments that come together to form our state report cards. For those watching from home or anyone that wants to dig a little deeper in it, If you go to the Wisconsin DPI website, you can click on report cards, or you can email me and I'll send you the link, or you can come sit down with me and we'll go through it. But that green button gives you access to every school district's report card in the state of Wisconsin. Past administration, current administration have pushed for kind of accountability, if you will, for schools. So all of that information is there. Now, schools get a different version. That's more of a classified version because it drills down to individual students and individual student groups at a level that maybe be able to identify. So the reports that are public give more general information so that they can't drill down and identify any students or student groups. So once you get past the prior green button, you get to a screen like this, you can select your year. So you can go back to prior year's report cards, or you can look at this year's. And then again, you can look at any school district in the state of Wisconsin, and also our charter schools and private schools as well. So what everybody wants to know is in the bottom left, if you look at our overall score. So our overall score for the school district of Maple comes in at 74.9. And that puts our district at the exceeds expectations rating. So we've been very fortunate for the last, 7 or 8 years. We've exceeded the expectations of the state every year, which I always give kudos to our staff and our administration because it's been a very solid growth in my time here, and we continue to do really well. The inner workings I'll briefly touch on because it's repetitive on every report card that we do. If you look up at the top, you can see the enrollment for our district. So you can see we're at 1271 last year. And then if you go down, you can see the bar graphs are for the student groups and representation. And then on the right of that, the circles, you can see the percentage of students with disabilities in our district. Those students that are identified as economically disadvantaged. That's the easy way of explaining as our free reduced lunch count. And then English learners, you can see we have a non-existent representation. So switching down below, there's priority areas. So every report card changes a little bit on the two top categories. So our achievement, it can vary based on what the percentage of socioeconomic status is in the state of Wisconsin. So growth can be measured at a higher amount if you have more students that are economically disadvantaged. So if I'll use a prior district that I taught in. If I had 80% free and reduced lunch or economically disadvantaged, my growth measure would be much greater than my achievement measure. So that's the part that changes based off of, demographics of your district. If you look at the bottom parts, you can see they're both equal at 25%. That being our target group outcome, which is the students that were identified as the lowest performers on the prior year. And then the on track to graduation, that focuses on our students as they progress through our buildings towards graduation. So they'll stay stable at 25% of your total population or your total matrix, if you will. If anybody really wants to dig, you can go on to the report card information page that I showed prior, and it does give information about how these are calculated. It doesn't give you the formula or anything like that, but it gives you information about how they measure growth and how they compare one student group to the other. So some of those things are interesting for folks like myself. Others just glass over and say, no thanks, I don't care. But I want to know how we did. So again, as a district, we continue to do really well. As I said, those priority area groups, the report card breaks it down in more detail of how you do for achievement, growth. So if you look at the top sections, you can see for English language arts, the little gray bar underneath it is the state's percentile, or state's rating, and then the blue bar above it, that is our rating. So it gives us a nice comparison to how we stack up in the state of Wisconsin. Moving down to this, for me, is a little bit more telling. I think last month I talked about the DPI for some reason has the charts flipped upside down. So the highest performing kids are on the bottom in the light blue. Then we have kids that meet the expectation in the purple. Then above that, the kids that are progressing towards are in the yellow, and students that have not yet met the expectations are in the orange, which again is upside down to me, but DPI won't change it. And this gives a breakdown from last year's performances to this year's performances. So you can see kind of where we've moved or where we're stagnant. something I'd like to draw attention to when I talk with each of our building administrators. These little arrows right here that look like little triangles, that tells the year-to-year growth or regression. So it's nice to know if we're committing, we'll say, PD resources or spending time with our staff working on interventions or rolling out new curriculum. That tells us where we're moving or where we're sagging when it comes to growth with our students. So those are important pieces for us as principals to work with our teams on how we're growing. So how do we use the information? So this particular data chart, we roll through and we look at our student groups, and then we look at where the percentage of students for each category falls. In years past, I've talked about the, they call it points proficiency. When they come up with a score, if you will, for our performances, they put more weight on students that excel. So a student that gets a advanced rating gets a 1.5, and a student that gets a meeting the expectation gets a point. Those that are approaching the expectations of the state get a 0.5 point, and if they're developing or not meeting the expectations yet, they don't get any points. So it does us better to move the needle to the left when it comes to those student demographic groups. This is the last slide before I'll move quickly through the buildings. What helps us as administrators look at, well, where should we be focusing when it comes to curriculum development, or where should we be focusing when it comes to professional development? This kind of box and whisker, if you will, type graph tells us where do we stack up to the expectations of the state, with a score of 3 being the expectation. If you're all in blue on the right-hand side, like you see on our math for the district, you can see that we're meeting the expectations in all of those student subgroups. On the English language arts part, you can see that we're meeting some of those expectations. So that helps us, Mrs. Craig, myself, as we're rolling out what are we doing in English language arts at the pre-K through 8th grade level. We can look at, well, where are we growing, where do we need to focus on as we're doing that. So it's information for us to bring back to our teams and kind of drive our professional development. Move quick. So the Northwestern Elementary School, I'm gonna go through each buildings. Again, if you look at the overall score, the 70 or 75.8, NES comes in as exceeding expectations again, which our staff were very proud of. I'll again quickly go through. Iron River Elementary School topped the charts again. They're one of the highest performing in the state again, with a rating of 89.7, which places them in the significantly exceeds expectations category. Big shout out to our Iron River folks. The middle school, they are again top the charts for the middle schools around us, as you'll see when I get to the data analysis later. They came in with a score of 80.1 that exceeds the expectations of the state. The high school came in with an overall score of 66.4, which meets the expectations of the state. And as I promised, I gave a breakdown for our comparison. So this is at the district level. So I'll let it linger there for a second if you want to take a look at the right column. That right column tells us the overall score, so you can see how we stack up against other schools around us. And then you can see I broke it down by achievement, growth, and then target group to kind of show, well, where are we growing? Where are we achieving? How does that stack up? Because again, if you look at that demographic that I showed earlier, if they have a higher socioeconomic status, that growth is worth more. And if they have a lower amount, as we do, then our achievement is worth more. So it's worth noting some of those changes between districts, as you'll see. On the elementary level, gave a breakdown in a similar fashion. Obviously, you can see on the right-hand side that total score, where everybody breaks down, which NES and Iron River again did very well on. At the middle school, as I alluded to, Mrs. Craig's team topped the charts for total score. Props to the middle school, Mrs. Craig. And then at the high school level, again on the right-hand side, you can see Mr. Smith's team did very well. So I know I threw a lot at everybody, but I can go back to slides if anybody wants, or board members have it, public, I can share this out with anybody that wants it, I can email it to you.
That's encouraging. I
Yeah.
mean, it's nice to see such, numbers are numbers, but students seem to be achieving at a high level at all of our schools, which is certainly a credit to the staff and administration, so.
So you had to believe I have a question.
I prepped.
No surprise. All right, so what I'd like to hear is, what is that, just one thing that Mr. Brad Larrabee maybe puts on the piece of paper that says, we need to put emphasis on this, or this is something that take away. There's a lot of numbers there.
Absolutely.
But I always like to hear, here's an opportunity we should maybe focus on, or we need to do this, or how would you answer that?
No, and great question, and hopefully Mr. Smith and Mrs. Craig can echo that as well. We sit down every year and we look at, well, how do we take numbers and put it to application? So at the elementary level, the reason I jump back to this is one of the things that we are focusing on under the guidance of the state is reading. And one of the things that we've really focused on is, well, what is the professional development tie between what we're currently doing in the classroom and how to get better with that professional development? And then for us, it's looking at, well, how does remediation happen? So when we have students that aren't keeping up, if you will, how do we impact those students for that growth measure? So on NES, you'll see at the top, this is on our growth and achievement. We're sitting at 69.8 as a growth score. So one of the things that we are focusing on growing as is how do we impact those kids that maybe were a lower performer last year and changing that trajectory so they're on par or even exceeding the expectations. And you can see some of our neighbors have had some pretty good success in doing that. So I've been in contact with some of them, but we're also looking at what does that practice look like. So at NES, we have meetings where we talk about student performances. We have a RTI system, a way that we look at, well, if a student performed here, what are we going to give them? We'll say like an antibiotic. What are we going to give them to get them back up to speed to help them? That could be more time with classroom teacher. That could be more time with Mrs. Fleming as a reading teacher, Mrs. Bonnelly. So we're trying to find a way that we can meet the needs of every individual student. And again, back to your question, how do we take the numbers and put it into application so that it impacts that kid? And especially kindergarten through second grade, because we know if they can't read successfully by the end of second grade, it becomes much more difficult as they go through our system. So, good question, Vince.
I would also say,
yeah,
and this is to Mr. Smith and Ms. Craig as well. The flip side of that is also just as important. I think it's really, I'd love to hear the recognition for our staff and teachers that are killing it.
Absolutely.
Because I think that's, as you mentioned, it's some very encouraging numbers there too. And so I think that's also worth pointing out that there's some really good things happening too.
This is the exciting piece, and obviously I was shouting from the roof as I was talking to Mrs. Craig and Mr. Smith. Getting the recognition in number form to say, hey, we're at the top, and obviously continuing to be at the top means you have to continue to focus on what are we doing to stay there and how do we keep growing and what do we do different to keep moving that needle forward, because students come through the door every way, shape, and form. And it's our job to educate them as they come through. And sometimes they throw a curveball at us and we're like, okay, now we got to learn a little bit about this in order to meet their needs. So it again comes back to our administration and our teachers and everybody with an all hands on deck. I would love for anybody here to come in and be part of those meetings, but unfortunately we talk about every need in between, and some of that's confidential. But when you sit with our teachers and say, okay, where are these kids and what are we going to do for them? It's pretty powerful.
I'm just looking at NES and Iron River, and I mean, Iron River's achievement numbers are higher, growth numbers are higher, but then it says on track to graduation, and NES's on track to graduation is higher. I'm just curious, how does that work?
Yep. So you'll notice there's also a not applicable under target group. So what happens with the math calculation, and again, UW-Madison doesn't say here use this equation. They won't let us play around with it. But what happens when you don't have all four quadrants is your math equation gets eroded. skewed, if you will. So it's different. It's not better, it's not worse, it's just different when you have schools that are smaller. So they don't get a target group score because they have such a small cell size. So again, there's 95 kids last year there was at Iron River, but only kids in grades 3, 4, and 5 take the forward exam, which last year you're looking at pretty relatively small classes. So they don't have enough kids to be able to have that group as part of their calculation. So the way that it, I'll say, works within the formula is they're missing a piece of it, which changes the end result. And again, I say this very openly, it's not right or not wrong, it's just different. And that has to do with being a single section building, which has some pros and some cons at Iron River. When you have a group come through that's bigger, as they do this year, that third grade group, which is a fantastic group, has a much larger group. So we might be able to have that target group outcome because it's such a bigger size. Good question again.
Anything else?
Achievement slower, grow slower.
Thank you very much, Mr.
You are more than welcome. And as I said, if anybody wants to sit down, I can give you more information or give you the Excel spreadsheet to play around with. It's kind of fun.
It is a celebration for our staff and what they
Absolutely.
do here, but we do always look at this data and say, what can we do to continue to improve? That'll be at the core of what we do and have done. But it's nice to show some of these numbers compared to districts surrounding us, similar demographics, and then also looking at the statewide picture too. So it's a chance that we can say thank you, and we appreciate what is happening in the classroom is showing up on some of these metrics. So
And speaking of gratitude, I always like every year to just give a shout out to our district assessment coordinator, which is Brad. This is all just numbers unless someone interprets all those numbers for us and then helps us apply, what do we do with that? How do we grow? How do we, and I give Sean Leaf credit too. One time, he said in a meeting, he said to our team, we can't think of students as data. We have to think of these as proficiency levels.
Mm-hmm.
So when we look at this as a Tiger community and see if our children are proficient against their peers or next to their peers across the nation, that in itself is something to celebrate and be proud of. So we honor that, embrace that. But Mr. Larrabee he just takes this data apart. He meets with every group of teachers. Teachers individually will email him and want to disaggregate it, deeper, go wider, deeper, and he helps out with that. Meets with teams, and I also want to thank, he's our district assessment coordinator, but he really makes sense of all of these numbers. I like to take time to thank that. It helps all of our building leaders and also our school assessment coordinators, which are our school counselors. They do a ton of legwork to get this airplane off the ground, if you will. And also a shout out to our technology departments, our on-site technology team and site does a phenomenal job. There's a lot of heavy lifting in the tech world too. So it takes a village. So thanks.
Absolutely, and I will add, it's pretty cool to be able to go back. Yes, I can go all the way back to second grade. You can see those students go through the buildings, and I can, at the click of a mouse in some of our programs, say, here's how they've done academically in math, reading, science, social studies, all the way through. It's pretty cool to see. It's like a life program.
very good. So that's just a report. There's no official motion that needs to be taken on that one at all. So thank you, Mr. Larrabee.
I'm going to help out on the EV side as you guys kick off.
Okay.
All right. Next is item 7, the report on school perceptions community survey. And before we get to that, I would like to, I hope you all have your board enhancement up. In there are a few things that are in bold. Please read those on there and understand that that's also what is not happening tonight.
And I can put that out there too. I don't know. Is Rob able to hear us yet? I think he's on mute, I know.
Yeah, let me hear that.
There's going to be a lot to take in, and we're going to need to do that to help us in January. Not tonight.
So the goal of this is just so Dr. Rob Demise is going to be joining us here in a second virtually.
Rob, can you hear us?
We're going to get you hooked up here, Rob, just a quick second. But the goal of this is to have the board get the information on the community survey. So Rob has got approximately I'll say 15-ish minute, give or take, presentation on the survey results. And then we'll get an idea as to what our community kind of said, where we see the questions that we have,
We're just struggling to find some.
and when we get it here. So I'll give Mr. Larrabee a quick second to get this set up, to get Rob coming in here. But the goal is to have Rob give his presentation, and then there will be time for questions at the end, and feel free to ask if you have questions. So, but we're not looking to take any kind of action regarding any kind of questionnaire referendum wise. This is strictly a chance for us to get information to the board to try to look through.
There was a lot of information to share.
Yeah. Yep. And you guys have seen, you know, he's going to go through the presentation here that's been linked into it. So we'll get a quick second here to get tech going, and then we'll get rolling.
I would say while they're doing that, the January board meeting, I think maybe collectively between Cody and I will send an email out here in the next few days. Is that fair enough to say? Kind of what the January board meeting is going to look like, and clear your schedule for that
A
Monday.
little later.
Was your January board meetings plural or was that singular?
So the actual board meeting, like this
Yeah.
for January, is going to be a long, because we have a lot to discuss. There's going to be open session, closed session, open session, to discuss a fair amount of stuff there. And those dates that regarding Nick that we had already discussed are also going to happen the following weeks.
There's a couple irons in the fire.
There are. In addition to that, I got a message from Steve, but over the next couple weeks, if you guys had any thoughts on those people from that community group regarding that soup search.
Hey, Brad, I'm going to try to jump in here and see if I can get them up
Makes
this
sense.
way.
Get a list and start sending it off to maybe Jenny, and we'll have her put it together so we can
I'm
review
going to
it
try to
for that
bump your
Jenny.
cast here, Brad.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about.
Take me off.
The superintendent search, there's a community aspect to it.
Yeah, okay.
Put some names to it, and we'll all discuss it, put people on.
Rob, you want to give me a quick sound test?
What's that?
Just that you and I have to-
Sure.
Most of January.
I think this will work. Give me one more test, Rob.
Sure, testing, and Brad, it just.
Can everybody hear okay? All right, Rob, we got you in here now, so
All right.
we got you up on the board. Go ahead.
Let me take it away. So, I'm here, as I heard Cody mention while I was doing your live stream here, to give your community survey report. So let me hop right in. We are gonna go through four different types of slides. Not all of them will, I would guess, be the same level of importance. Your blue slides, I'm going to briefly reintroduce myself in a second, but also blue slides are anything that was in your survey itself. So if it was in that thing that landed in your mailbox, you'd either reproduce it here or taking screenshots or what have you. So that this report was really a one-stop shop for you. We'll begin in just a moment with survey or respondent information. So who took your survey, how old are they, where do they live, and so on. Those will be in yellow. We'll certainly spend time on green. Those are your results and analysis, and then allocate some time at the end for wrap-up and questions. So just to remind folks who we are, this is not our first time working in Maple. Actually, we did your survey maybe 8-9 years ago or so, something like that, ballparking it. And I think I was with you maybe 3 months ago to the date going through the survey track. But our mission has never changed at School Perceptions. We want to help you as educational leaders do three things. Those three things being gathering, organizing, and using data to make strategic decisions. We got our start in 2002. We've conducted over 3 million staff, parent, student, and community surveys, all in the name of school improvement, and those have been spread out over a little north of 1,300 school districts nationwide, who have all been doing or have been doing what you've been doing over the last few months, what you're doing tonight, what you'll be doing in the future, and so on, which is that dual role of navigating strategic planning and referendum planning process. So let's get to you. Your survey finished up on November 21st, 2025, so shortly before Thanksgiving. You landed at 880 respondents for a response rate that's as average gets. You're looking at about 16%. which leaves you at a margin of error of just under 3.5. I will revisit that number in a little bit, but you're looking at plus or minus approximately 3.37% for your margin of error. Kind of an unfortunately named statistic because there's absolutely nothing in your purview that you can do about it. It is an error that you have no control over. It is only a function of how big your community is. So when we're working in Wisconsin with the Green Bays of the world, the margin of error is very, very narrow because there are well north of 100,000 people they can send the survey to. Obviously, in the heart of the North Conference, there are just fewer folks that you can share a survey with. And that's really the only way to make the margin of error smaller, is to make more people move to school district of Maple. We then asked about age. My eyes will always go to the top bar here first. Your 65 plus is represented at a proportion of 37% in your survey. That is an overrepresentation vis-a-vis your community in general. So when we look at census data specifically for 65 plus, not just in any one municipality, but across the entire school district of Maple, just under a quarter, 23.0% specifically of your respondents are 65 plus. It is okay, it is good to have those folks be overrepresented in your survey data because they are also going to be overrepresented on election day as well. So if they're overrepresented in your survey data, you have a better batch of your voting pool come election day. So that is a good thing. We also asked, is your primary residence in the school district in Maple? 9 and 10 on the dot said yes, but there's always a fair question here where people will say, well, why are you sending a Maple survey to people that don't live in the school district? That's a good question. But obviously, if I live kind of towards the edges and I'm a staff member, I'm under no requirement to live within the district boundaries. So I could be a staff member commuting in, I could be an open enrolled parent, or I may certainly have land. I may have a cabin in the northwestern area, in the Maple area, but I don't live there. Maybe I vote in Minneapolis or I vote in Minnesota somewhere. Like property within your school district, we need to take those folks out. Doesn't mean that they're not influential and important, but we need to focus on the folks that can control an election within your district boundaries, and that's the main thing here. Late last week, I think Cody and I briefly mentioned that I did want to cover this slide with him just to make sure that it was a good representation of your municipalities. With this business manager cap on, it sounded like this was a pretty good representation of where your population centers are. And the good news is that you do have proportion from every single one of the municipalities that in some way, shape, or form pay the school district and Maple property taxes. The next two questions in just a moment is going to get us to 3 key subgroups. We are going to look at in isolation how staff feel. We're going to look at in isolation how parents feel. But then, most importantly, because they're the biggest, we're going to look at the no. We're going to look at the non-parents, non-staff. Those 3 subgroups are driven by these conclusions. The final demographic piece of information is communication for you as you move forward. So note the wording of the question is subtle but important. It does not say how do you receive information from us, because I may be, as a resident, I may be communicating with in a way that I don't want to be communicating with. You know, you always send me why, but I really want you to do this. This is a preference question. It's at the end of the day, how do I want to read about the schools in your district? For your non-parents, non-staff, which are at the top of each bar pair here, in purple, overwhelmingly, when you need your non-parents, non-staff to know something, they want to hear about it through something that is tangible and mailed that lands on their phone. They want to mail the newsletters to their phone. In our second place is a tie between newsletters online and websites. 16% of that group was Facebook or social media in general. Your parents are a bit more balanced. About 2 and 3 are looking for an email, with a strong preference for a mailed newsletter as well from your parents. And then I would say kind of in the second tier is Facebook, social media, your website, and a new online newsletter option. And then we go back to blue. So I'm going to spend little to no time here because this is exactly what was in your survey. Talk a little bit about the homework you've done this far. In conjunction with your long-range facility planning, the work you've done with outside consultants to review the quality of your buildings. We wanted to do a little education on what a capital referendum is. and why the district may be exploring it now. So this is pretty close to the draft of a few wording tweaks here and there back from September, but talking about 3 key reasons why the district is exploring this now, but then you wouldn't move forward without taxpayer and resident feedback. And that's where we get to our first green spot. That read, do you support the school district of Maple exploring a building referendum at this time? Your staff, 86% said yes. Your parents, just a little over 2/3, 68% said yes, go ahead and continue to explore. And you're above majority for your non-parents, non-staff. Nearly 16%, 58% to be specific, of your non-parents, non-staff said, yep, go ahead and continue to explore a potential building referendum at this time. We do break those groups out. I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment because each of those groups are different sizes. But my takeaway from this slide here is that all 3 of your key subgroups are telling you, yep, go ahead and put something on the ballot come April. That's the takeaway from this slide. You have permission to put a thing on the ballot in front of your voters come April. We do this because that's not necessarily always the case, especially, I would say, maybe over the last year or 2, maybe stretching into 3. Your non-parents, non-staff, it's not uncommon to see them fall below 50%. And because most of your voters are in that pool, that's a pretty difficult place to be. Because in that kind of question in other districts, those folks are saying, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want you to study it. I don't want you to explore it. I don't want you to talk about it. You can insert whatever verb you want. They don't even want to hear about it. That is not you here. You have nearly 6 in 10 of the largest group of your community that are giving you permission to explore. The 28% of your non-parents, non-staff telling you no, I don't want to minimize that, but I would also say that it's firmly in the average. On any given particular community survey, about 25 to 33% of non-parents, non-staff will say, no, I don't want you to explore anything. At 28%, you're almost right there. But again, takeaway here is your community and across all 3 subgroups are giving you permission to put something on the ballot. Then we went into what that thing could be. So back to our blue slides here. This is exactly what was in the survey, and it was broken up into 4 big chunks, talking about what would happen in each of the 4 schools: Iron River Elementary, Northwestern Elementary, Northwestern Middle, Northwestern High, and then the 5th building in Western Hutch. And that's where we tested a potential plan along with the corresponding tax impact. The question read, would you support an $18.9 million capital referendum to fund the facility plan? Here is only staff, and it's only staff that can vote in the school district of Maple, your staff residents. An overwhelming yes, nearly 9 in 10, 89% of your staff are in favor of the plan as it was described. Your parents aren't too far behind. Nearly 3/4 of your parents said yes to the plan as it was described. And your non-parents, non-staff, once we put a number, 2 numbers, I guess, a total number and a tax impact, you really didn't lose anybody along the way. 56% of your non-parents, non-staff would support the $18.9 million plan.
May I ask a question?
Please.
I know it's not question time, but the probably yes.
Yeah.
What is that percentage of actual yes votes? Any idea?
It holds up almost exactly with a 1-to-1 correlation.
Okay.
We have done surveys where it's just simple yes or no, and it will artificially inflate the number of no's that you have. People want a little wiggle room. They're a little nervous about that. They want to weigh up. So they're like, well, something could change. I don't want to say yes. So they say, well, I'm going to be no just to be safe because I don't know where my financial life is going to be in a few months. When we give them probably yes, it makes people feel a bit safer. So that's why we total them up, because your yeses are going to stay pretty static. We can pretty much bump the probably yeses up. But the corollary is also true. We're going to take those probably no's. They really aren't going to move any more than your definitely no's. They're going to bump down. So it stays pretty steady once we give people a little bit of wiggle room.
Right. Thank you.
Yep. You did hear me say, though, that not all of those groups are the same size. So now we got to do a little proportional weighting. We're going to set your staff aside just for a moment, not because they're not hugely influential. They are. They're the first line of ambassadors for your district. they will be the first ones to get stopped at Christmas, New Year's, holidays, winter vacation, and say, hey, what's going on? Are we, renovating the schools or not? So I don't want to minimize that influence. However, your staff residents make up probably no more than 1% of your voting block at election day. So hugely influential, but numbers-wise, not that many of them. So we're going to set them aside for just a moment. We're going to focus on parents and your non-parents, non-staff. Your parents make up about a quarter of your community, but 75% of your community are non-parents, non-staff. So then we have to weight the support that we just went through. So what this is telling us in our, little stoplight system here with red, yellow, green, is that you're firmly in the green. When weighted, your support is about 60% of your community is saying yes to the plan that was described in the survey that you sent out a few months back. So well north of the 50% plus one that a school district would need for approval. In just a moment, I'm going to go slightly in a different direction. So I want to pause here though and just see what questions you have about the referendum part of your data so far.
I'm a little surprised that our parents represent 25% of our community. It seems high to me, but maybe I'm wrong.
We did use, it's the American Community Survey, which is actually a subsection of the decennial census data, and they do update that actually every year. So we looked at, it's go pretty deep, and we looked at households with a child under the age of 18 years old. And it was right around the quarter, almost exactly. We do take into account, birth to 5, because actually by the time this work is done, they're probably going to be the ones that are approaching school age, so we do include them on purpose. In fact, sometimes those parents that have kids younger than kindergarten can arguably be more supportive than parents who have a kid that's just about to finish up. But we can check that based on when it's updated. Actually, it's 2024. So it's actually a pretty good estimate based on the most recent American Community Survey data.
Rob, you talked about red, yellow, green in terms of percentage there. What percentage kind of gets you in the yellow range? What percentage gets you in the green range in terms of your metrics?
Actually, thanks for bringing that up. So I had mentioned early on that margin of error was at about plus or minus 3.5%. So that's where we kind of go in the yellow. Even if you're above 50, but you're within the margin of error, that would be firmly our too close to call. It's a toss-up. So taking that math, that would put me at 46.5% to 53.5% would have been in the yellow range, because that is within the statistical margin of error. That is firmly the default to go either way. When you're outside of that, one direction or the other, that's when you get red, or in your case, that's where you get green.
Okay. So roughly 4+ percentage points ballpark.
Yep, give or take. Yep.
Any other questions from the board? I'll let you jump to the next slide there.
All right, keep thinking. I just got 2 more slides. We then finished off with a couple of questions that I hope are really good news for you. Coming off your report card data there, obviously a lot of good news here, and that's where it's going to continue on this rise. We asked people to evaluate you. Specifically, we said, how is the district doing in each of the following areas? The scale being poor, fair, good, great. So you can't get a score lower than 1. Can't get a score higher than 4. So you got to be somewhere in the middle there. And actually the middle of the scale is 2.5. We asked folks to evaluate you in 4 areas. To what extent are you delivering a high quality education? Are you keeping the public informed? Are you managing funds appropriately? And are you building pride in the community? We separated those out across our now 3 familiar subgroups. So first thing I do when I eyeball this data, there's 12 numbers up here. The first thing I do when I look at them is to see what numbers are above or below 2.5, since that's the middle of the scale. You have no numbers that are below 2.5. All of your numbers are leaning towards the good, if not great range. Your staff are exceptionally happy. They're leaning towards the great in terms of the school being a source of pride in the community, delivering a high quality education, but across the board, your staff are in that good to great range. Your parents as well. Your parents really see their schools as a source of pride in the community. They're very satisfied with the academics that you're providing. Again, not surprised based on what I can hear from your report cards. And your non-parents, non-staff, that's sometimes a challenging group. by definition, they're kind of the most disconnected from schools. That time doing that is probably out of the way. If there was a number that I would have expected to fall below 2.5, it would be down here. Your non-parents, non-staff, evaluating to what extent or how well you manage funds. Nearly uniformly, that falls below 2.5 on surveys like this, because that group of folks will say, well, you obviously must not be managing funds appropriately, or you wouldn't need to ask me for a referendum. So therefore, you're not managing funds appropriately. Well, that number is a little bit lower. You're still above the middle of the scale. That's surprising in a good way. That doesn't normally happen. Your non-parents, non-staff will also see you. They're north of 3. They also see you as a tremendous source of pride in the community. Looking at that in a slightly different way, now we repooled everybody together. Same question, same scale, same items, but now we just said putting everybody together, what percentage of your survey respondents are telling you that you're doing a great or a good job? What is the overall average? And then maybe most interestingly, how many districts are you outperforming? So we put you in a pool of other districts that look like you. And what I mean by that is we've adopted a methodology from the National Center for Education Statistics. And they will look at your enrollment, the amount of money you receive per student, your statute ratios, and the percentage of families in your schools experiencing poverty, along with being a K-12 institution across the last 3 years. So in other words, we want to push you in a pool of districts that look like you across various metrics. And then we say, well, if you got this score, well, is that good? Is that bad? Is that kind of what everybody gets? Is that good for a school district that has our characteristics? And in your case, the answer is yes. The comparison percentile tells you what percentage of districts you're outperforming. So among your comparison pool, you're doing better than 76% of other districts on this question based on what you're hearing from your community. You're outperforming 84% of other districts on how well you're keeping the public informed. You're outperforming 61% of other districts in terms of how well you're managing funds. And 87%, you're outperforming 87% of other districts in your comparison pool by which you're building pride in the community. So all of these are well above the median at 50%. In other words, your community is really telling you that you're doing a much better job compared to other communities that we surveyed that look similar to you. You'll also see that borne out on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely would you be to recommend a district to a friend or family member? This is our version of a Net Promoter Score that we don't call Net Promoter, so we don't get sued, but it's the same idea. What I want to look at are your 8s, your 9s, and your 10s. When you sum those up, 30, 15, and 18, you get 63%, so just a hair under 2/3. Why is that important? Ambassadors, for people that give themselves a score representative being an ambassador, they will go out and talk well about the district without you having to do anything. They are the conversation starters. They are the conversation sparkers. They are the ones 2 weeks ago at Thanksgiving that sat down with their family and initiated a conversation about the good things happening in Maple schools. They're going to do that again in about 3 weeks over Christmas break. They're going to talk about that with the person behind them in the basketball concession stand and so on. So you have 2/3 of your survey respondents that are in that pool. You added another 12 for your 6 and 7. And you got 75% of your survey respondents, 3/4 that have a positive association with what you're doing. That is not normal in a good way, and you can see that borne out in the lower right here. On a 0 to 10 scale, your score is a 7.53. A normal score for a district with your characteristics is 6.72, which means that you are outperforming 84% of other districts on this particular metric. So I recognize that these last couple of slides took a few minutes here. I don't know what my time limit was. I'm confident I overshot it, Cody. I apologize.
You're good.
But, this isn't necessarily why you hired us, but I do think it's important for referendum behavior because nobody in any district will say, boy, am I unsatisfied, and I am really enthusiastic to give you more property taxes. That's just not how people think. That's not how they do it. It's really, really important that your staff are satisfied, your parents are satisfied, your non-parents, non-staff are satisfied, because there has to be some semblance of satisfaction there before people are willing to open up their wallet. And you can see these across the board here that you're outperforming most of the district that we asked. In fact, even the north of 50% in terms of referendum support, I would say that's not necessarily normal. Kind of by default, whenever we do a referendum survey over the past couple of years, it's been pushing it to get 50% support. So the fact that you blew that out of the water and are north of your margin of error, you got a lot of things to celebrate on that. now I'm done rambling. I apologize. Any other questions, whether it's about the referendum, the satisfaction data, or so on? How can I be most useful to you tonight?
Just give it a second, look around the room here, Rob. So.
Vince?
That's my question. So you take that personal. It is, Rob, thank you for, I mean, we had met before this, Rob and I had met and talked through this, and it is something that I do want to reiterate is, at least according to the metrics that you see, comparing us to similar districts across the state, we are doing some really, really good things here in Maple, not only as seen by our staff and our parents, but also people that do not have a direct connection to the buildings, which I think is important to share. It's something to celebrate. I always joke we're far from perfect, but I am proud of the good things we do day in and day out in our buildings. So that is something that we will continue to try to push out to our communities and celebrate when we can. As I talked about earlier, the goal of this presentation was just to share the information of the survey. And I'm not going to put words in Rob's mouth, but the respondent rate looked good to you guys, correct, Rob?
Yeah, yep. Firmly average.
Yep. And a little bit overrepresentative from our 65 plus category, which are usually going to be the people that most often show up at the polls if and when that time comes. So I'll reiterate, no decisions, and I'm putting it out in the community as well right now. No decisions have been made which direction to go. The goal tonight was just to get the board this information. So, other questions? Otherwise, Rob, I will send you off.
Sounds good. If anything comes up after I hang up, which is usually how it goes, by all means, just let me know, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Going once, going twice. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Take care.
All right. Item 8, administrative reports, communications, Mr. Petrilcotter.
Let me jump over here. So we do have a thank you from the Tammy Anderson and the Neil Anderson family. It's the School District of Maple. Thank you for your gift and thoughtfulness during the passing of my husband, Neil. So that is the communication that we received. Only one for this month.
Thank you for that. Item B, the verification of candidates and drawing of ballot order will be at 9 a.m. on January 13th, 2026. Current board members up for re-election are Dan Cowley, Catherine Burnett, and Mr. Vince Hirsch, if they so choose to run. Is it December 26th is the time?
26th is the deadline for them to get their
For an incumbent to do the non-renewal. And how long do new candidates have to submit paperwork? You know?
deadline for nomination and candidacy forms is 5:00 p.m. on January 6th,
2026.
2026.
January 6th, 2026. For all of you people listening out there in the
TV
land and Insta Google Tweet Face, please put on your shoes and come see Miss Keller and get on the ballot.
I will say, because Ms. Keller will not say this, but she would really, really appreciate if you aren't going to run to let her know before December 26th. For some of the reasons I think you might be able to put together. So,
item C, the maintenance report. Again, Mr. Petrilcotter.
Yep. So Mr. Amos provides these now in terms of what we have here. So some pretty basic stuff. Obviously, we were in snow removal mode. Mother Nature got off to a good start with our snowstorms. Thankfully, they did occur, maybe to the chagrin of some of our students over our breaks. So we're working on just general stuff. And these are things as part of the infrastructure needs. The booster pumps at NMS really do need to be replaced. We're going to limp those along to keep them running because obviously having water at NES is a good thing. We also are continuing to battle our water heater in this building. And we'll hopefully get that worked through, but it's getting to a point where all the guts are going to be due on that thing before we're said and done, I think. But we haven't quite got that licked either. Otherwise, it's just general stuff going on here. So
is there any hot water in the building?
there is, we're still working through some sensor errors and stuff like that. So it's kind of, here's priority one, we try that. Okay, now that works great. Now, okay, something else pops up. So I will come back to the board here probably next month, if not February, of really kind of putting together a plan that we need some redundancy in this building. Whether it's a brand new boiler in there or not, it's not the world's best setup because we have one source of hot water and it is bound to break down every once in a while, whether it's brand new or not. We don't have another option. So that's not the way we typically want to work.
Is it like that in every school?
Not every school, no. This is the only school, and I don't know why. It is what it is. It served us well since 2008, but we need a backup plan too.
Who was in charge of the addition in 2008? Is that Myron?
No, Kraus Anderson was the general.
All right.
And I think LHB was the
You know where I'm going with that. Get a refund.
I get a refund. You want me to go back to him and say what's going on here? I think there, and I don't want to throw anybody on the bus. I think there may have been, but plans had to change as funds were dispersed, and that's true for any big building project. Plan A is never usually the plan that goes through without some kind of tweak and adjustment. So.
That's smaller.
Yes, it did.
Item D, donations. Again, Mr. Fetchelcotter.
Let me get back to where I need to get to here. Sorry about that.
Sorry, I'm moving along.
No, you're doing a good job. So we have a couple of different donations, and we're thankful and more than willing to recognize these folks. So Karen Nevin, she donated gently used hats, gloves, and scarves for the NES borrowing locker, which I was down there this week and was helping Miss Heitla pick out certain colors for kids. So I did a very good job with that. But that stuff is being used every day. Alyssa DeVink for a new pair of girls' snow boots at NES. Classics by the Lake, they made a $500 donation to the NES music department. Ron Mackey made a $5,000 donation to offset the travel costs for state football. NBC Bank and Heidi Chell was the driving force behind that, but NBC made a $2,000 donation to our district to offset the expenses to send the football team to state. And then also Carl Morin provided $250 as well. So we're very, very happy to recognize, acknowledge all of our donors. It is something that is unique to our community, and we are thankful for. No donation is too big or too small, so we appreciate everyone. So thank those folks.
Very nice. Item E, the WASB correspondence and legislative report. Mrs. Brunette.
Yes, the December update. So Governor Ito has vetoed 9 different bills, including legislation related to the following: additional time for military recruits in schools, essentially citing that federal laws already create an expectation that they're able to come on campuses. Legislation that changed teacher preparation by shortening student teaching. He wants to ensure that those expectations remain rigorous. And then legislation that required higher education institutes to submit additional data. He felt like this was an administrative burden. A special education prorated aid rate and November payment information. The first fiscal year 26 aid payments for the 24-25 expenditures. The amounts for November payment for special ed and school aged parents category aid. The first payment of the year have been determined. This year's November through March interim payments will use a proration of 35%, a slightly lower rate that is used for these payments to avoid overpayment. The final payment in June will reflect each LEA's full aid eligibility at the year's final proration rate. The proposed resolutions for the 2026 Delegate Assembly can be found here. I included the little link. This packet includes resolutions forwarded to the Delegate Assembly by the Policy and Resolutions Committee, resolutions as submitted by member boards, and resolutions turned on by the committee. The complete and official materials for the Delegate Assembly will be mailed to each WASB delegate or the board president if your board is not designated a delegate, and district administrator in early to mid-December. On Capitol Hill, lawmakers are developing a strategy to resolve the fiscal year 2026 spending bills before the stopgap measure that reopen the government expires on January 30, 2026. My guess is we will hear more in the coming weeks. And I did not see anything regarding the cell phone use as far as kind of policy to guide boards in what that needs to look like. So I'm guessing that will come.
That'll come.
Spring.
To tag on the back of the WASB, the WASB state convention is, I'm not sure if anybody has submitted whether or not they would or wouldn't be attending that.
Nobody is going.
Well, I guess I haven't looked. I think I might go Tuesday, Wednesday. But I have.
We better talk.
Yes.
It's like, it's real quick.
All right.
Me hunting
All right.
for rooms.
Okay. Well, I can stay anywhere. All right. That was CISA 12, Mr. Burnett, or Mr. Burnett, Mr. Probst.
CISA staff are working with districts to address Native American student achievement, working with districts to identify factors that influence attendance at the high school level, and how to address those factors collectively. The next meeting on that is December 17th in Ashland. The CISA 12 Sportsmanship Summit was held last week. It was a big success. All but one district in CISA 12 attended. The focus was on the connection between mental health and athletics. And they are starting the superintendent search in Maple School District soon. Director updates, shared information, CISA staff collaboration that happens monthly. This gives our consultants an opportunity to work together. And district supports to ensure continuity and cohesion in different services that might be provided to a particular district. In addition, monthly staff meetings provide CISA staff time to work on technical pieces around agency function. We received a presentation on the activities that they provide to CISA 12 districts through the Gifted and Talented Grant. 3 programs that provide each year. Creative Writers, Public Service Announcements, and Lead with Confidence, which is a new program.
Thank you, sir. And then item G, reports on the from Iron River Northwestern Elementary Schools, Northwestern Middle School, Northwestern High School, the Athletic and Activities Directors, Director of Special Education, and the and that. Any questions on any of that? And then the most
Our patient.
you guys what you went through tonight is going to serve you so good in the future of learning how to be patient and sit through boring meetings. Please, students, give us the rundown as to what you've got for us.
All right, so I'll start off with clubs. So our DECA chapter, some of our members are going to Two Harbors this Friday to compete in a mini districts competition, which will be during the school day, like 9 to 2. They'll get back before the school day is over. Then FBLA has a couple of meetings. They have had a couple of meetings discussing events and preparing for competition for later this year. Our Fact and Sad group hosted a movie night last Friday, December 5th, where members of the community were invited to come together and watch The Grinch. FCSELA has held a couple meetings those last couple weeks for members to choose events and prepare for their own winter competition season. One Act last month, November, put on their Apostrophes performance along with small actors on the night of One Acts, and then advanced to state on the 22nd, where they earned medals for their tech and the set they created. As for the musical, they held auditions last week for their parts, and their first rehearsal starts tomorrow, and the cast list can be seen through their musical website. Some of our National Honor Society members have been volunteering recently to spend some time with elderly community members to bring with our younger community together with the older community. And they're going to meet with each other around a total of 5 times and invite them to like school events, such as concerts, sporting events, etc. The student meeting with them will participate in. And then to end off, at the end of the school year, they'll have a fun bingo night. And this Saturday, 12/13, they will go to they will also go to Shop for a Kitten. And then the following Saturday, the 20th, they'll bring in small Christmas trees to Essential Health Hospital in Superior to decorate for the patients. They Student Council is sponsoring a door decorating contest throughout the entire high school to make the hallways festive. One advisory in one department will win a traveling trophy and treats after break. They will also host dress-up days leading into our winter break. And Student Council is collecting toys and monetary donations for kids in need this holiday season. So anyone interested in helping those in a community can bring contributions to the office on or before Monday, December 15th, They will be added to our collections in the Commons, and if you'd rather make a monetary donation, you can contact Mrs. Fetch. Our band's fall season ended off with their performance at State, and then the very next day they performed in 2025 Christmas City in the North Parade. And since they've been preparing for their winter concert on the 15th and their jazz concert on the 17th during the school day. The choir has also been busy rehearsing for their winter concert tonight at 7, and their small group performance at the jazz concert as well.
I know about a few of those. Okay, so all the winter sports have started. Girls hockey has a record of 2-1 and will take on the North Shore Storm tomorrow. They have had a great start with their last game winning 5-2. As for our co-op ladies, Michaela, I can never say her name, I feel so bad. Ended Saturday's game with 2 assists and Paisley scored one of the 5 goals. All have been a critical aspect to the team. And girls basketball has picked up. Their record is currently 3-0 and will take on Cameron at the next home game Thursday. They are having a promising season. One of the key players this year has been Jillian Kay. She leads the team with an average of 17 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 blocks per game. The boys basketball team has started their season with a great start after beating Baldwin Woodville in 61-43 win. Leading the Tigers in points is Camden Crow. I'm so sorry, I butchered everyone's name. Everyone. Okay, wrestling has also started their season with relentless conditioning. They've had their first meet on Friday and it was successful. They're hoping to continue with success as a team and individuality. That's all I got for winter sports right now.
You want to say anything about the fall sports wrapping up?
Yes, so I will say this, there's more names than what we can recognize between our fall sports and extracurriculars. It's important for me, and I believe in extracurriculars. Those of you that know me, obviously I have a sports background, but I believe that extracurriculars of any sort are important for our students, no matter what that is. And I think we're about 90-ish% of our students at the high school are involved in at least one club activity or athletic events. So kudos to the One Acts and their very successful run to state. Kudos to the high school football team who ended up state runner-ups. Didn't quite finish the way we would all have liked, and that's the coach in me, but it is a season to be very, very proud of. We had all state performances through football, through volleyball, through cross country. Very, very proud of all of our extracurriculars and our student athletes in the fall, because there are more accolades than we can spend time talking about tonight. They are in your board reports for you as well too. So kudos to our students, our staff and our coaching staff, and advisors who support our kids with things that they are very interested in outside of school. It's a huge part of what we do. So thank them.
I don't know what you're doing, Jenny, but my computer is going nuts with what you're typing. Is it supposed to happen? That is crazy. All right, I got new stuff happening on here.
Yes, you do. Well, I can't believe you wrote that about Cody.
Cody could see it too.
And then item H, student, staff, and community recognition. We probably touched on that.
Yep.
And yeah, it was quite the fall for the district. And I think you the student representatives there, you touched on it, but I can't remember what was the Wednesday that the football team took off.
Yep.
There was also, was it One Act or
One Act
that also took off, and they were gone, and then they got back late and then did something else.
So the pep band made the drive down Thursday morning and made the drive back Thursday night to then in turn, I think they left right around 3:30 Friday to get up to Duluth for the Christmas City of the North Parade. So there was
busy. I mean, that's some
a lot of
serious
action.
dedication there.
Yep. So and it was well attended. The amount of community support in Madison was I was very impressed.
Yeah, that's
So-
surprised. That's good.
It was fun. All right. Well, item 9 is comments from the audience. Now that we have concluded the business of the board, we will end the live